kids. We welcome you back to the Patrick Netherton Show right here in 1130 The Tiger. We're pleased to be joined now by the head coach of the UAB Blazers, making their trip to the Radiance Technologies Independence Bowl. He is Bill Clark, who is joining us now. Coach, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. All right, let's go back a little bit, because this is maybe one of the more unique stories and sort of reclamation projects in the history of college football, what you've been able to do. You get hired at UAB in 2014, and then it's, all right, we're shutting the program down. Kind of walk us through that, the 2 years that the program was down. You were still with the school and with the team, bringing it back, new stadium, the success you've had. What has that journey been like?
Yeah, it's been interesting, to say the least. You know, we get in here. I left my alma mater, Jacksonville State, in 2013, and get in here in 2014. You know, I was a high school coach for about 20 years, 18 of them in the state, so I really was familiar with UAB. It had players come here and knew, you know, that it had great potential. So I take the job in 2014, and they'd won 5 games in 3 years, so they had been struggling. And we go 6-6, get bowl eligible, and they shut our program down. And, you know, the terrible thing of losing every player and have to send them off to find another place to play turned into a great story, which was, you know, the people of our community, our alumni, all fought and started raising money and raising funds. And, $60 million later, you know, we built a new facility. We bring our program back, obviously, and then we had to go find players, you know. So we went all over the country, a lot of junior college players, brought the program back in 2017, and you know, we've been bowl eligible every year since then, and won the West 3 times, the conference championship twice. And you know, it's been a great story just to see specifically to see our community come together in UAB, and really something that was kind of a, you know, this awful story has really turned into a great one.
Yeah, and that's the cool thing, right? We've seen programs in the past that shut the doors, and maybe there's some we have one here locally. Centenary College was the smallest Division I university in the country. Didn't have football, but was a basketball, baseball. Robert Parrish went to Centenary. Well, they dropped D3. You had some alumni that tried to keep them D1, just couldn't quite get it done, and now they're a D3 school. But you guys were able to bring that back. And not only that, but then come back and have success. You've won, you've won your side of the league 3 times. You've won the overall league twice. How were you able to get from where you were, where you have no players, to being able to, in just a couple of years, win multiple conference championships, division championships, and find yourself in multiple bowls in a row?
Well, I think I kind of had, I started the program, went in with Joey Jones and started the program at South Alabama, so I had some reference to starting a program from scratch. And I guess we just kind of made the right call on the junior college situation, and we just said, hey, we're going to go out. We can't put all freshmen out there. And really, to be honest, the freshmen, the high school kids really were in a kind of a state of, hey, the program just shut down. We don't really believe that it's real coming back. And it almost forced me into making this decision to go with older kids. And, we set out for that year or so, and so we were able to practice those guys for a year, kind of waiting. And really, it just, for those guys who really were all over the country, to come together as a family and believe in something bigger than themselves. And, it's just really, it's been a great story how they've done that. Then in the 19, we lost a lot of those guys, and we really started building it with high school guys. And, I think just the whole family and community and all the things that we built it on, they really believed in that and have fought together. And it's been special.
Yeah, we're talking to Bill Clark, the head coach of the UAB Blazers. By the way, Coach, just on a completely different note, I think you have the best logo in college athletics. Like the Dragon logo, the Blazers, all of that. I love that to death. I'm going to get me some UAB. And I can't before the game. I do PA for the game, so I can't roll up into the stadium,
Gotcha.
With my Dragon shirt on. But I'm going to find a Dragon shirt, because that logo is fantastic. It really is.
Yeah, we were. We had some helmets with just a little small UAB on the side, and my son was a high school junior at the time. He's like, Dad, we got to change the uniforms and the logos. But there we had this cool Dragon, so we just immediately said we were going to accentuate that. Obviously, we'll put UAB everywhere, but this this blazer, this dragon we got is a great mascot. Really, just really cool.
No, it really is. It's pretty spectacular. All right, so tell me about. Obviously, we'll get into some of your team a little bit this year to kind of let people know what they can expect when you get here. But let's start from the end. Tell me about finding out about the Independence Bowl and your reaction to that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if I'm an old history major, so coach's son, and as long as I've done it, I mean, obviously we all know about the history of the Independence Bowl and all the great teams that have played there. We stay in Shreveport when we play Louisiana Tech, so we're familiar with the town and the area, and so it's kind of funny that we are going there. But I mean, very special for us. I think probably the toughest opponent of any Conference USA schools when playing BYU, and I think just when you start talking about bowl history and think of the Independence Bowl and the great games that have been played there, it's obviously a big deal, big honor. And, of course, we know we've got our work cut out for us with BYU.
Yeah, it is the 11th oldest bowl game in rotation. And I'm just hoping, Coach, I don't know, do you want a snow bowl? I mean, that was obviously our most famous game back in 2001. I can't remember which one. Would you like a weather like that, or do you feel like that's a little bit more to BYU's advantage?
Yeah, I would think it would be more to their advantage.
Yeah.
So we're gonna vote for warmer.
There you
warmer
go.
Than cold.
Well, it is supposed to be 82 tomorrow, so maybe we can dial up some 82 and some humidity for the guys from Provo.
Yes, we'll be really good with the humidity.
Yeah,
so
no doubt about it. All right, let's talk a little bit about your team, Coach. When people, obviously we have a lot of locals that like to go to the game, may not know a lot about UAB. Obviously, may not know a lot about BYU. What do you tell people when they ask, as I'm asking, what is the identity of Blazer football?
Well, our offensive identity has been a really good running attack with a lot of play action shots, passes. That was kind of who we were. I think now, we're diversifying even more offensively. We've tried to be balanced, and I always say about balance is being able to do what you want when you want to do it. Somebody can drop everybody and take your pass game away, or load everybody up and take the run game away. So it's being able to do both. Obviously, a physical running attack's always been important to us, but we want to be able to do both. So we try and keep it balanced offensively. I think really as the years gone on, I think our offense has gotten better and better. Defensively, that's kind of been our trademark. I'm an old defensive coach from years back, and the last 3 years prior to this year, we were in the top 10 defensively, and then this year, we're 15th. I think all the time defensively, I'm always amazed when we come out with statistics because you're just never satisfied. But I think defensively we've been pretty solid, and then our special teams is something we take a lot of pride in. And I think all that goes together, playing complementary football, not beating ourselves, and playing together on all sides of the ball. With that said, we can talk about BYU and stopping those guys,
right,
what they do, but I do think, for the most part, that's the things that we've been able to do really going back to since 17.
How tough is it to be a defensive coach these days?
Oh, in my next life, I'm definitely going to be an offensive coach. I've already decided. So, it's when punting is a good answer, well, we're just punting. So, I think I always laugh when I talk. You talk to offensive guys, you talk to defensive guys, and the defensive guys or the defensive-minded guys, they're always worried, because it's never over because they can always score. And, you wake up thinking in today's world they might put 70 on it. And offensively, and there's challenges on both sides of the ball, but being a defensive coach in today's game is really hard.
No, I call games for Northwestern State down in Natchitoches, and every time I talk to our defensive coordinator or our head coach who was a defensive coordinator at one point, I always say, why? Like, why, why be a defensive coach? I know when you got into coaching defense, you could win with defense, and defense was a calling card. Now it just feels like it's got to be somewhat of a torturous life to live, trying to figure out how to slow these guys down, especially, you're in a league where you have some diversity too. You have some guys that are doing some different things. So it's not like you go out and see the same offense week in and week out. No,
you couldn't say it any better. I mean, I was telling that today. You might see empty and they throw it 70 times, and then you might see them getting 12 personnel and run it right at you. You got zone option. You've got tempo. You've got if you can think of it, it's out there, and there's video all over the internet showing them how to do it. So there's not a lot of secrets. There's just so much offense out there, and of course we know the rules have been geared toward making the offense better.
Yep.
And so it's tough. I mean, it's tough to play good defense nowadays, and the ball is out in the perimeter so much that tackling really has just become that much harder.
Yeah, and you don't have as much time to practice tackling.
That's correct. Yep,
yeah.
All the above.
Yeah, so, again, mama, don't let your babies grow up to be defensive coordinators is all I'm saying.
Amen.
That's a tough life. Speaking of, you mentioned offensive balance is kind of being able to do what you want to do when you want to do it. Did you catch any of the New England Buffalo game, by the way?
I think we had that. I think that was playing kind of around the complex, and I saw 11-10, and then 14-11 or something like that.
Yeah, and it was New England won and threw the ball 3 times the entire game. Yeah, and I feel like Bill Belichick believes the same thing you believe, that good offense, balanced offense means just being able to do what you want to do when you want to do it, and they obviously didn't want to pass. The winds were 40, 50 miles an hour,
yep.
And they won throwing it 3 times. I've got to imagine that makes a guy like you smile.
Yeah, I think it goes back to, and Lord, we love to score. I mean,
sure.
It makes, nobody doesn't want to score, and we'd love to when we could score all the problem. It doesn't matter to me, but I think it is if you've got the ability to run the ball and the ability to throw it, and, you can pick your spots, you can, you can run the clock out there in the game, you can control bad weather. And I'm not saying we do all these things, but obviously that's what we're trying to do, and that's the goal.
Bill Clark, head coach for the UAB Blazers. All right, Coach, about your team, you got a 1,000-yard rusher on the season, Dwayne McBride. You got a QB in Dylan Hopkins who's thrown for over 2,000 on the season. You mentioned you like to have that sort of balance. Tell me a little bit about McBride and what he does well and what we're going to see him. Obviously, we'll see him a good bit during the game. What does he do well, and then what do you ask Hopkins, your QB, to do?
Yeah, McBride has really just been special since we got him as a freshman, last year. I mean, he is strong, powerful, great on yards after contact, good vision, all the things you really look for in a running back. And I think he's he's gotten better as the years went on. Just obviously, just for all those guys, just keeping them healthy. He's had a few ankle injuries, but he's doing good now. Hopkins, is a guy we had super high expectations for, and we had a senior with Tyler Johnson who was really that kind of ultimate leader guy. And Hopkins came on this year and really ended up, passing Tyler. Tyler had an injury, but he ended up passing him, and he kept the job. Just, big arm, very athletic, and is really, becoming a student of the game, all the things we want, but can make all the throws. And really just, I think, learning how to be a really good quarterback. The
other thing I notice when I look at your offensive stats is your 2 leading receivers both average over 20 yards a catch, which is astounding. If you've got a guy that averages low teens per catch, that's a solid guy. You've got 2 guys that are averaging over 20, and they're your 2 leading receivers, including Trey Shropshire, who's averaging the most in college football at over 27. Obviously, I'm assuming, not having seen a lot of your games this year, I'm assuming we're seeing some play action that leads to some of these deep shots, but why are they so effective down the field?
Yeah, I think you got 2 guys who really do a good job judging the ball and going up and making the catch. I think it's also set up by a good running game. I think Shropshire is that guy that kind of came into his own right there in the championship game last year against Marshall and continued it. And then Prince is a guy we had huge expectations for, was a former receiver. We moved to tight end, and it really has been – he was dealing with a bunch of injuries. This is really the first year we've had him healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of fits that tight end of when you're seeing in the NFL a lot now, the hybrid, bigger receiver who can still block, and really been fun to watch him evolve.
And finally, on the opposite side, Coach, it looks like you have a very defense by committee approach. You don't have one guy that's got 115 tackles, things like that. You do have Alex Wright, who's obviously very disruptive with 7 sacks on the year, but it does seem like you have a lot of guys that can get it done defensively for you.
We think so. We really really, really felt good its first year. We went through some injuries, probably like a lot of folks, and did lose a few guys. But I think one of our strengths is a lot of guys defensively, and I think we've had different guys step up each week. Obviously, Alex had a really good year, but a lot for us is playing team defense and fitting their gaps and really communicating well, all the things that you'd like to see out of a good defense and playing well together.
Not only that, but you also have 10 picks on the year, which is a ton. That obviously shows the back end's doing very well. Last thing, Coach, before we let you go, just kind of thoughts on what you want to get accomplished for the bowl game, not necessarily on the field, maybe even off the field, team building, activities, that kind of thing. What do you want to see your guys do and get accomplished through this bowl week?
Yeah, I think, one, just know what a big honor it is to play in the bowl game. And as we always say, well, this is your first goal really when you start the season is getting bowl eligible and making a quality bowl. So, and I'm not knocking any of the bowls, but we've made a real quality bowl. It's in the South. Our fans have access to the game. And obviously we know there's a lot of great activities and enjoy yourself. And then, of course, we want to go out there and just compete and play as best we can, knowing we're playing against a really good team, but really just enjoy ourselves, have a good time, and then come ready to play.
Best part is tell them to get on I-20 point west, and they never have to leave. So
there we go.
Straight down I-20. It's a perfect trip. Coach, thank you so much for your time. Congratulations on making it to the Radiance Technologies Independence Bowl. Look forward to calling a bunch of your guys' names out doing PA for the game, and we're really looking forward to having you here.
Hey, we're looking forward to it. Appreciate you having me on.
All right, Bill Clark, head coach of the UAB Blazers.